Recently, I made an entire safari park dedicated to the Big Five of Africa. But not just the Big Five of Africa, there are a bunch of other exhibits in this zoo, and I can't wait to jump into the official tour with you all, so thank you all so much for joining me as we check out the official tour for Mkulu Tano Safari Park. Let's jump right in. Alright everyone, welcome back to Mkulu Tano Safari Park. It is awesome to be able to jump right in here, and we're going to take it a little bit slower. So I know you guys have watched my videos on this already. If you haven't, please do. I put a lot of work into them and I'm super proud of them. But the issue with those videos is that you get a very scripted leaf, and I am trying my best on my scripted videos to really not sound as scripted, if that makes sense. So I hope that this tour will actually prove to be sufficient enough where it's like you get the full candid leaf, you know? You get those good old leafy times from yonder days. But yeah, that's a little prelude. So basically how you would start this zoo, you would kind of disembark off of whatever kind of like tour bus you're coming in on or something. I don't know. Maybe you're over in Africa for like a cool, like, you know, around the country safari or something. But you drop off right into this little plaza right over here. And again, this really wouldn't be too big of a seating area, but I did want to include just a few things in here. So I do have some benches, a few decorations, but what really starts to make magic is once we actually make our way into the safari park. So yeah, I did base this entrance building off of the San Diego Zoo, the San Diego Safari Park. But one of my favorite things in here is once you do switch it to nighttime, you get this really awesome look over here of like the stars up in the sky. It just looks awesome. I was super proud of that. That was like, it just sucks that Planet Zoo's lighting engine isn't as in-depth as Planet Coaster 2's, because this would be so cool with like the ambient occlusion and all that stuff. But I'm super proud of that. But once you actually do make your way into the safari park itself, you are brought to this little plaza, and oh my god, this came out so well. So unfortunately, Unscripted Leaf forgets entirely where this inspiration of the building came from, but it did come from west, kind of like equatorial Africa, and these colors are exactly what were happening on the original building I took this inspiration from. But it just welcomes you right in. It just feels like, I don't know, it just feels like a more tropical version of Harambe Village in Animal Kingdom, if you guys know what I'm talking about. Now, the safari is out towards this way, but we do have a bunch of opening exhibits to check out first. First off the list is the meerkat, which, where are these little guys? Alright, so I'm fairly certain most of them are underground, but we do have a couple of these guys scurrying on up here. But we also do have this exhibit for the African crested porcupine as well. We can actually see some of the guys coming out of their little burrow over there. I love that. But yeah, if I switch the heat maps on, you can actually see that the porcupine is deep underground right there. Maybe he'll come up by the end of the tour, who knows, but I really do love this exhibit. It turned out excellent. I love all the different kind of like rock works I used over here, especially mixing like the browns with the grays. I especially love this, and this area just stands out from like the rest of the safari park. Once we actually do get over there, just as something completely different. Now, continuing over this way, we do have our first animal from the Zookeeper's animal pack, which is the pack that kind of inspired this park to begin with. This is the Shaka enclosure. Now, I'm not entirely sure what I based this off of. I think I went kind of just off of vibes, but these kind of cliff pieces are made by Nicholas Lionrider. These are the Singy cliff pieces, and I really love how well these turned out. They just are so helpful, especially for making a sort of more themed area, kind of like this. Really love how well these guys turned out, and we connected it all with like the rope and stuff so that the shafakas can climb, but it looks like they prefer to kind of hop along the ground and stuff like that over there, but we can see them start to climb up there, which is super cool. Let me see if I can kind of get a better view of them. But yeah, it's just so awesome that we finally have this species in Planet Zoo. I've wanted shafakas for so long, and even though they're not as kind of agile as they are in real life, we kind of have to live with the kind of systems in place for Planet Zoo. So, I don't know, I'm just very happy that we have them regardless, and they can come right up to the glass over here if he wants to, but doesn't seem like he will. But we kind of continue on over here. Look at the little detailing on that building right there. I was super proud of that. It just looks awesome. But yeah, we kind of continue out through this little village. You can see I worked super hard on getting these vines set up there too. What these basically are, they are the liana vines, and I just kind of attach them to each other, kind of like so. And I just connect them to the tops of the trees just to make it feel like, I don't know, that stuff is kind of growing in between each other. It makes the entire forest feel a lot more connected, especially if you get rid of them. Like, hold on. Yeah, if we just get rid of the bigger pieces in here, and we just pretend that the smaller swoops aren't even there to begin with, you can kind of see what I mean. It just feels too open to the elements, but it's just tiny little things like that that I think really help this area come together and make it feel just a little bit more cramped. So moving on from here, we also do have another Malagasy resident. We have the Fusa. Love these guys. I think I saw a comment that these guys are probably like the most animal out there. Like if you think of an animal, just a nondescript animal, you're probably going to think of like something like a Fusa or something like that, but these guys are so adorable. Again, another fantastic species that I'm so glad is in Planet Zoo, because like Fusas are probably one of the coolest species out there, especially from Africa. I mean, being like one of the top predators on all of Madagascar is so cool to think about. But yeah, their habitat came out very well too. I really am such a big fan of these kind of like inspirational Malagasy foliage. I really didn't want to use too many blueprints in this park, but you'll see in a few minutes that I actually did end up using a lot. But for the first part of the project, I wanted to stick with the in-game pieces, so I used like the prickly pear cactus, I used some of these Oceania plants, the cabbage trees, and I think it gives that kind of spiny forest kind of effect pretty well. He's coming right up to the glass too. I love that. I love when that happens in real life. It's always so cool. And you can see I also included some of these sun sails. These are actually pieces in game. They are the Zookeeper marquee roofs. I basically just put them on their side, and I have them kind of swooping over the guest heads so that it creates just a little bit more shade. And I love that little Tembo Tours sign that we made over there. The font is from Wyatt Andrews' workshop, and the elephant is from Nicholas Lion Rider's workshop. Really awesome pieces over there. So continuing further into the park itself, we do have the spurred tortoise exhibit. Again, I really didn't want to go too crazy with this one because, I mean, it's just a tortoise. They don't really need much, but these guys can come all the way up here. Just check out what is the Hizzity Haps. But they do have a little bit of interesting stuff down here too. I really wanted to give these guys a little place to get away from the guests, so this is probably one of the cooler views in here. I made this kind of lean-to shelter over here. It's just a way for the tortoises to kind of escape the guests. Maybe the guests are touching them a little too much and they want to get away from them. I made this all entirely out of the South America, the Oceania thatch. Really, really awesome how we can recolor that. And you guys are probably wondering how I got the kind of bedding to go up against the side right over there. That is a free build thing. So technically it doesn't count as shelter because you can see it is at an angle. Typically you're not really able to place it at an angle, but free build lets us do that. But yeah, continuing just a little bit further in, that is another kind of Zookeeper animal pack animal. But the other one that we have in here is the Kirk's Dik-Dik. So yeah, these guys are just the cutest little antelopes ever. I did want to preserve that sight line, but unfortunately it really didn't work out, because once we start to remove some foliage over here, you'll see that maybe, yeah, we can remove as much as we want, but originally the buffalo were back there, but yeah, unfortunately, not really anymore. So yeah, sadly, we kind of did lose out on that sight line, but one of my favorites is coming up. But this is the Dik-Dik habitat. It's really not much. I can show it to you guys from above. Again, we have one of these sunshades that just kind of is taught right across this habitat over here. So it's like they kind of tied it to that tree right there just so it stays right above the guests. But the Dik-Diks have enough room. I would quite say. I think our local exhibit at the Roger Williams Park Zoo is like this big, and they share it with 3 other species, which is like, it's kind of cool. But yeah, you can see their habitat does go up here. So maybe if they are getting away from the guests just a little bit, you can see that they will still be visible. It's just they won't be right next to the guests, so it won't be as loud. But juxtaposed with that, I do have my little blueprint graveyard kind of like credits area. Every single blueprint that I used in here, I believe, has been credited. So Captain Callum for like the little tortoise statue that we'll check out in a bit, Squatch and climbing frames, Bongo Hardwood, just every single person in here has helped contribute to this project, and I can't thank them enough. This park would not be as pretty without it. Alright, so now we finally make our way into Mkulu Tano proper, and I just love how well this bridge came out, because it's just so natural. You barely even notice it as you kind of like make your way over here, but I really wanted it to feel like that part of the zoo is one area and this part is its own. But as you cross over this, you can see our little kind of like ranger station, I guess. This is where the 4x4s would eventually park. It seems like they're waiting for some guests right now, which is pretty fun. But yeah, once you cross your bridge over here, you get brought to this big old plaza. You got some like nice seating areas, but this is what I wanted. You can look right across the way and you can start to see the elephants. Like we have the elephants right back there. You have like the Hamadryas baboon mesas. And as you kind of make this bend, you get a look into everything that this park has in store for you. Now, I did kind of obstruct some views just because it needed to flow just a little bit better, but I'm super, super happy with how well this turned out. I think the foliage is probably some of my favorite that I've ever done. But yeah, that is pretty much it. It just looks awesome. So I think what we're going to do, we're actually going to take a hard right this time. Typically, this should kind of guide you, like the way that the path works, towards these angles right over here. So you either go on the walking trail to the right, or you do go to the safari to the left. We're going to do the safari at the end, but I think we're going to start off with the leopards over here because I just love how well this habitat turned out too. I will say there is a quick little mini viewing of the leopards. If you do want to sneak over to this point over here, you might not be able to see them. It's really, really doubtful that you will. In fact, I don't even think they're in this habitat. Yeah, for some reason they get kind of boxed up, which is a little bit of a shame. So all the leopards do end up on this habitat, which is not really what I wanted. But eventually we can move them over here. So like, it's my park, I get to do what I want. But we do have this little entry building over here for the leopards. It is perfectly safe for the guests. I wanted to make sure of that. So they do have this kind of like double layered glass. And we do have the Amur leopard over here, but don't tell anyone. We can just pretend it's an African leopard. But yeah, you can look right into the habitat over here. And even though my depth of field does kind of mess with this just a tad, you can look right into the exhibits and see all of this wonderful kind of like climbing frames that I made, all these custom climbing frames, and we can look right out here too. And these guys can look right out onto the savannah, and you can even catch that elephant right there. That turned out so awesome to me. So yeah, I'm just gonna do this for the sake of the video. I do want to show off these habitats in a little bit more detail, just kind of talk about the building techniques in here. But yeah, I did make these really cool climbing frames. I really loved how I used the Oceania wood on these. It turned out really awesome. And one of my favorite pieces in here are these little faux rock kind of clusters. If you guys want to use these, they're not part of the blueprint pack, but you can pop in the park and kind of save these on your own computer. But I basically just use these kind of like this and just place them all over just to get a little bit more texture in these parks, you know? But yeah, I really, really love how well this habitat came out, and these leopards really do love it too. Just love watching these guys explore these habitats. That's honestly why this kind of park took so long. It's because I was just watching these guys explore the habitat so much. Yeah, you can kind of see him kind of making his way throughout that right over there. But this is also a really cool view in here too. I don't know. I really do love this habitat in particular because it's just so unique. Obviously, it really wouldn't work out too well in real life because I feel like the leopards would find a way to get around the hot wire. They are relatively smart creatures after all, but I think for the sake of my own zoo, my own lore, my own role playing, I think that this is very cool, and it ended up really cool too. Now, leading out from the leopards, we do have the leopard tortoise, the first of the little five. So basically the premise of this entire zoo, I wanted a big focus on the big five, which are the leopard, buffalo, rhino, elephant, and the lion. The big five is basically what are considered to be the most quote-unquote difficult to hunt animals in Africa. Now, whether or not you disagree or agree with hunting, that's the big five. I know that, like, giraffes are bigger than everything else, but, like, it's just how it is. I don't make the rules. But the little five kind of just has play on words, essentially, that kind of go alongside each of those animals. So the leopard tortoise is a really cool species, and I really wanted to include these guys in here. So we use Captain Callum's little, little guest enrichment, kind of like playground shells that you could pop into and take a picture in. And we kind of just put these decals on the top of them to make the little tortoises look a little bit more leopard-like. And I think it came out pretty well. But continuing on back here, this is a little cheeky thing right here. You might notice that we have a couple of misplaced trees right here. That's our little door for the flamingos, which I think is super, super funny. But moving on from there, just a little back scene, little backstage little trick right there. But moving on from there, we do get brought over to the rhinoceros habitat, and this one especially turned out really cool. So you can see that we do have a cattle grid over there. Now, I do believe the rhinos would be able to get out of a cattle grid, but I still want to include it just because I didn't want to think that much, you know how it is. But yeah, I really, really love this habitat in particular because you are just on the coast of like a really, really beautiful riverbed, and including everything in here, like the papyrus? Yeah. The palms, all these different plants in here. It just feels so lush. It feels so tropical. And it leads us out of like the jungle kind of habitats that we were dealing with over there. And it really introduces the rhinos pretty well if we're able to see them. Yeah, this is the issue. If you make an entire park dedicated to the safari trucks, you really won't be able to see the animals. But we can see the black rhino is right over there. We do have two individuals in here. Hopefully we can see the other one. Yeah, they're right there. Oh yeah, she's hogging up the tour over there, but I love black rhinos so much. They're honestly one of the coolest rhino species out there. Yeah, I just love them. I just love them, and I gave them a super awesome habitat too. Now, the little five counterpart with these guys goes to the rhinoceros beetle. Again, if you guys watched the video, I have no idea why we chose a slide. We chose it on stream. Be sure to hit the bell icon below if you guys want to catch the streams. But yeah, we just have a little slide for the guests to go down. Now, a grown man like me, if I go straight into this little horn right there, I could say goodbye to having kids for the rest of my life. But I don't know. It was pretty fun. It's a fun little motif. I don't know. But yeah, that calls it for the rhinoceros and the rhinoceros beetle. Really, really awesome habitat once again. And those mud banks, they're by Zoov. I believe he goes by XV or like X2 on the Planet Zoo Workshop. Be sure to check out his mud walls on that because they are so, so useful. These guys do not want to move from that spot. That is a shame. But I did include signage all the way throughout here. These ones are by Lion. Now, I did forget to actually change out the colors on that so that it was not Z fighting. That's what that's called. It's called Z fighting. But this actually does give you an awesome look into that big old lake in the middle over there. And it really, really does welcome you in so well. We'll check out the lake in a little bit more detail in a bit, but we continue on into our next exhibit. I know we're about like 20 minutes into the video by this point, but I am sick right now. I am getting over a little bit of an illness, so I apologize if I sound a little nasally. Yeah, that's it. I got sick. But over here is probably one of the coolest parts of Mkulu, Tano. As you can see, we start to get away from all of the big trees and stuff like that, which I think this does so well. And we finally enter into like this really, really awesome kind of scrub land with like these low trees, except for like a big palm tree here and there. We got this really awesome riverbed right in the front, and hopefully we should be able to see some animals. Where are they? All right, it looks like most of the baboons are back there, but as we kind of turn the corner over here, we should be able to see the elephants, which are super, super exciting. But before that, I do want to showcase this little view into the lake. So yeah, I did have this giant lake in the middle, and you can see my 100 flamingos right over there that call this lake home. But we also do have some ducks in here too. We can see some waterfowl. I believe that's the white-faced whistling duck. We should also have some South African shell ducks in here. We have the white-faced by Great Cake Mods and the shell duck by Lowbury. Super, super awesome species. And we should be able to see the shoebills in here sometime. But I love the little cabins over here. I think these turned out really, really awesome. Again, if you guys want the most amount of information on like the inspirations and stuff, I put them all in the long format videos. But yeah, this is a view, and I'm super proud of it. That's it. Okay, finally. The elephants are coming out to play. The baboons are actually making their way throughout the exhibit, and it feels so awesome to see this really come alive. And this is exactly the effect that I wanted to go for. I know my friends like Concord Forge. I don't know if you guys have watched Cedar Lake. Definitely do check it out. But he always makes fun of me because I am scared of these big, bombastic exhibits. But it felt so awesome to finally do something like this because it turned out so grandiose. And I don't know, it'll probably be a long time coming until I do another habitat just like this, but I love this habitat. It turned out awesome for the elephants, and seeing all the different colors of elephants in here is really awesome. We have the gray individual right there. We have a little bit more of a brown individual right there. That is the remaster by Narwhaler, I believe. That really does that incredible work, but these guys turned out awesome. It's just so beautiful. And yeah, I know people sometimes complain in like my mod showcases that I don't give my animals food or enrichment or anything like that, so I made sure to include as much of it as possible as I can in here. Look at these scatter feeders. I don't know, that's just so cool. Have you guys ever looked at the enrichment up close? I feel like it's just really, really awesome just to see how it works, you know? And I wanted to give a little bit of a head down view of the habitat as well. It's huge. It is huge, and it took me a very long time to get it planted. You guys can actually go watch that like real time if you want. I believe we did this one on stream. But yeah, you can see that we have all this incredible foliage, this rock work, especially this rock work in here of like the dark rocks that lead right into these kind of drier mud banks. That is just so cool right there. I don't know. I'm super, super proud of this. But yeah, this habitat really, really did come together so well. But that is not all. We have the Big Five right over there, our third member of the Big Five. But we also have the elephant shrew right over here. I don't know, I just thought it came together super cute. And this is also part of the little blueprint set that I made. But we have to give a huge shout out to Forge, Concord Forge, who made the termite mound, as well as the burrow over here. And we have to give a huge shout out to Drac, who made these little adorable elephant shrews. These would just be like plastic models or something. But I really, really love how well this came out. It was just so fun to do. And yep, we have some guests kind of going through right now. I did change my guest settings to be like 50 guests max in here. I probably should have updated it so that it was probably just a little bit more, because I feel like this entire safari park is pretty dead as you make your way through it, but maybe you guys can change it on your own ends with like your own settings. But I don't know. I do love this habitat though, especially these signs. Man, I really wish we had more of these like watercolor signs for the base game. That would just be awesome. Or even just Frontier. If you guys give us like the ability to make billboards with PNGs, please, that would be awesome. But yes, I can already hear our next member of the Big Five. But before we get to them, we do have a little member of the Little Five over here. We do have the ant lions, which was so cool. I don't know. It's just awesome to make this not really impressive stuff, but definitely something that would be like, oh, that's kind of interesting, you know? But yes, ant lions are just a super cool animal. I think they absolutely deserve that little spot on the Little Five because they just have the coolest little lifestyle cycle, I guess. The fact that the larvae make these big kind of like inverse volcanoes and they stick their little heads out, their mandibles, and they wait for prey to come by. That is just so cool. I don't know. It's just awesome. But if we turn our head to the left over here, we do get a view at the African lions. Now, I would probably, if I could go back and redo this park, I would probably sync this just a little bit more because that was just a little bit too obnoxiously tall. But yeah, you can see that we do have our lions in here. We do have Joe right there. No idea why we called him Joe. His name is just Joe. Don't ask me why. But yeah, we can see that these guys do have this incredibly large habitat. It's a lot bigger than it looks initially too because they have all this area over here. I really wish they would use that heated rock over there. I feel like that would be awesome for them to stay. But they do have all this area back here too. Are they? No, they're all out of their boxes. I guess they just want to stay away from the guests, which is, it's totally fine. It's just like, why? But oh my gosh, that is something we haven't really seen just yet. Since the animals tend to get these guys stuck all the time, we haven't been able to check out the actual 4x4s going through. So it's really awesome that we do get a little glimpse of that. But it's not really too obvious that they do come through there. I really wanted to make sure that it felt so natural, and I didn't want to take away from the natural feeling that you would get as you kind of make your way through like the walking trail of the Big Five. Also, it probably doesn't help that we do have hot wire throughout there, but hey, what do I know? So yeah, that is the fourth out of the five Big Five and Little Five. But this is probably one of the coolest ones that we have in here, just because this habitat feels so dynamic. But before I do that, I love this little waterfall section. I don't know, it just turned out great. We'll check that out in a little bit more detail in 2 seconds. But we do have the Cape buffalo in here, or the African buffalo, however you want to refer to them. Jesus, I'm tripping over my words. But yeah, I did use the Asian water buffalo sign over here. I use that throughout Mkulu, Tano, because we don't really have too many good buffalo kind of signage, which is a shame. But I love this habitat in particular. This was kind of like the inspiration for all the habitats of Mkulu Tano moving forward, because I really do love that riverbed aesthetic. I really do love the color of the water and the color of the rocks and like how that really works against the mud banks over there. It is just so cool. But it kind of leads you right over here. We'll check out the hotel in a little bit, but taking a little brief pit stop to check out the buffalo weaver for the Little Five. I think out of every single animal on the Little Five, these guys deserve it the most because they are just so important to the African ecosystem. It is just really cool to see like these guys in action, especially with the way that they weave their nests. It is so cool. But the guests can walk right in here. They can see the eggs inside of the nest, which I think was really cool. And that entire buffalo weaver right here is handmade. Like, I don't know, it just turned out really awesome. So they do have that little fleck of orange down at the bottom of their tail, which is cool. But yeah, feel free to use that in your own builds because that is exactly why I put this on the workshop. But yeah, kind of making your way throughout here, you get a couple more views of the buffalo. Nothing really too intense, but you do kind of get these little glimpses in here where you can see like a little few members of the herd. You get a female right there with the male. Really cool stuff. But I'm really hoping that we get to see the mud pit, which I feel like I did not design this habitat as best as I could. So we're just going to check out the safari viewing area just a little bit. But you can see a few more individuals in here where you can actually see the mud pit right down there. You can't actually see them in the mud pit, can you? Well, you can see one individual right there. You can kind of just about make it out, which I built this specifically for the 4x4 first and foremost, but the kind of like guest viewing, the walking trail second most, I guess. So yeah, that is cool habitat. All right, popping back over here, I do want to show off this very quickly before we do go on a tour of our own. This is the little hotel area I made, the little cabins. This turned out super awesome. If I do get the timing right, we can actually see this place at night, which is when I think it really does shine. I added these little spotlights to the bottom of each cabin. It's nothing too crazy, but it does illuminate these areas just a little bit, gives it a little bit more life. And I especially love these little kind of like campfire areas. I'm currently planning like, I don't know, like a little bit more of a tropical vacation recently, and this is the kind of stuff that I'm seeing as of late. It's like these nice, intimate outdoor experiences where you can just sit by the fire, you can take in the atmosphere, you can take in the vibes, and it's just so beautiful. This is the kind of stuff I would love to do. But I love this little area, not just because of like the infrastructure and stuff, but I love the kind of texturing I was able to do on the ground over here. What I used for the grounding is the African hut bases. I think that these provide just a little bit of awesome texture, just to help it feel a little bit more synonymous with each other. I also used the Oceania bricks. What did we actually call these? Oceanian rock wall blocks. These have been a very good friend of mine, just to get a little bit more texture on these, because you might see that I do have the rounded kind of pieces over here included with the hotel blocks, but I needed something to blend it in, and these Oceania rocks really help to do exactly that, because it bridges it exactly between like this little slate kind of texture over to whatever it is that is connected to these little hotels. That just, it's just awesome. It's awesome. Now, flicking it back to daytime, we can actually go to the balconies of these. I decorated the balconies, but not the interior, because, listen, just use your imagination, I guess. But, yeah, this is awesome over here. This is exactly what I would do in the morning. Just hop right out here, look at the flamingos, look at the animals. There's the shoebill! There's the shoebill! Yeah, he is just chilling out in the water over here. Look at him. Oh my god, he's weird. He is just a strange little fellow. I'm gonna move him. I want to move him over here. But yeah, I really, really do love the balcony that these guys have, because it is just so premium. It just feels so luxury, and it feels like exactly the kind of stuff you'd pay top dollar for if you ever end up going to Africa and like you want the full safari experience, but you want that little glamping kind of thing, you know? Alright, so that is it for the hotel, but now we are going to check out the little safari over here. So there is a little bit of a queue, and I really wish I did decorate this area just a little bit more, but unfortunately, I was kind of coming up on my due date for Mkulu Tano. I wanted to get it out as soon as possible. So unfortunately, I did have to, I did kind of have to expedite the process. There we go. But I really do love how well this entire area came out. I'm sorry, I'm really tripping over my words, guys. It's my sick brain. I really do love like all the barrels in here. Like these oil barrels were such a nice little touch. And like, especially these little, like the numbers, I try to line these up as good as possible so that if you guys ever do make a safari of your own, you can just use those in your own park. But yeah, we can hop on here and we should be able to go through on a test of the safari truck. And yeah, I apologize. The way that my audio software kind of works out, we might be jumping from place to place. I'll try my best to highlight everything that I see, but we're probably just going to skip the long areas in between and just focus on the animals. But this is exactly what I meant. I really wanted this area to feel like it was meant for the safari trucks. And you can see exactly that in here. We are just going right through this habitat with the buffalo. They are walking right alongside our car. And you can see that they are just grooming each other. They're playing with each other. They're walking around the habitat. That's exactly what I want. And we go over the cattle grates over here, which you can see right over there. Very cool stuff. And then don't mind me, I'm just going to speed up this so we can go check out our next exhibit. Now, as we do speed up, I do want to point a little bit of attention to these little log walls. I wanted something just to help separate the safari tour from everything else. And I really think that this would help out a lot with the noise pollution. As you can kind of hear, it's not the quietest vehicle in the world. Oh my god, she's squeaking. But yeah, I really want to do something just to help with that noise pollution, you know? Now, this is probably not the best seat in the house for this species, but let's pop over here. We actually can check out the lions right down here, which is so cool. It just brings us right above them, which is so awesome. So we can still look into their habitat. Maybe if they're drinking water over there, we could actually see them with that, or playing with the prey scent. That's just really cool stuff over there. And we do have the little shout outs to the members over here. I'm not going to read you guys all out loud, but it's just a huge dedication to you guys, because like, you guys are awesome. You guys are just awesome. But yeah, we're gonna zip through this part right over here. And finally, we come into the elephant and hamadryas baboon habitat, and we can already see both of them. Look at the little baboons right over there, and the elephants too. Look at that. That is just awesome. Can we get another view of here? Yeah, I feel like this is a lot cooler. So yeah, you can see the Jeeps are just driving right alongside elephants and baboons. It is just so awesome that, like, we have these transport options in the game. That is one of the things that I am so happy that, I was able to finally take advantage of, because I feel like in none of my projects that I have ever made have I properly utilized the transportation systems in Planet Zoo. I mean, we have the kind of Skyfari, which is kind of ugly. It's pretty disgusting. But the 4x4 is just a really, really excellent demonstration of how good you can make like a safari putt in Planet Zoo. It is just so cool. And you can see we do have, oh god, we do have a captive elephant right over there. He's trying to get out. Oh my god. But we do have the elephant backstage over there too. And we can say goodbye to the elephants from this little area over here as we kind of make our way to the rhinos. Like, can I just say, I love like this view over here. I know I could talk pretty much all day about like all the architecture and stuff, but like, I don't know, I really do love how well I was able to get this foliage to work out. I am not a foliage head by any means, even though my name is Leaf after all, but getting it to look this good was so rewarding. I don't know. So yeah, as we start to approach these little mud banks over here, we are brought, oh lord, we are brought with a dead end over here. So yeah, this is our black rhino habitat, and our black rhinos, they like to be the stars of the show, huh? So, yeah, I'm gonna take a little bit of, evasive maneuvers over here, and, we are just going to plop you right over here. Sorry, buddy. Okay, now back to business. But yeah, this really did turn out so awesome, and especially this habitat too. Really, really love how well this one came out. I just love rhinos so much. They're awesome. But yeah, you can see that big log that I was talking about in the video right over there. And they do have a bunch of enrichment too, which is always super important to have in the zoo. And yep, as we exit, we are brought to our final Big Five member over here. This is the African leopard habitat. I love this one so much. This one really did turn out so cool. I think you really do need the full effect of it though, so I'm gonna exit our little train really quickly. But you can see it crosses right over this little river in here. We do have like this little mud bridge, which I think turned out really cool. But we do have all these climbing pieces in here with like the leopards able to climb all the way over this exhibit and like into this side over here. It's just so cool. Yeah, that's really it. Super proud of this exhibit, especially, even though you really won't be able to spend as much time over here as you would in the other exhibits. Maybe like, oh man, wouldn't it be cool if we could trigger these rides to stay in one spot just for a little bit? Man, that would actually be awesome. But yeah, you can see our Black Panther right over there. He is starting to climb up. But that pretty much settles it for the safari truck tour, which I think turned out really good. That is zooming. Oh my god. I did not ever notice that. That is kind of crazy. So yeah, it's a little bit of a roller coaster ride towards the end. That's, yeah, they come barreling in hot with that. Oh my god. But yeah, that's pretty much it for the safari truck ride. And that's pretty much it for Mkulu Tano. And we're just going to fly over here as I wrap this up. This is why Leaf needs to script his videos. He never knows how to end a video. But I do want to thank you guys for coming along for this tour specifically. And if you guys did end up watching like the other videos for Mkulu Tano, whether it's like the first episode or the second episode or both, just know that you have my utmost appreciation. I put a ton of work into this project. I really want to do something else like this soon. Maybe we can do a zoo proper. Maybe we could do kind of like a little safari truck tour for Asia or something like that. I'm not sure. But this really did turn out super awesome. And I'm so thankful that you guys just came along for the ride too. It was just awesome. So yeah, I think we're going to end it right over here. Be sure to check this map out on the Planet Zoo Workshop. It is, look at this line. Look at this line of flamingos. It's because their habitat is literally just one straight line, and they have no other way to get back and forth, so they literally just line up, which is kind of funny. So yeah, I'm gonna turn it in for the night at my little hotel over here. But thank you guys one last time for stopping by. Be sure to check out Mkulu Tano on the Planet Zoo Workshop. I always do appreciate any likes I'm able to get on that. And if you guys are able to subscribe after this tour, it would mean the absolute world to me. I absolutely love putting this together for you guys, and if we made some new friends along the way, I appreciate that even more. But we'll end it right there. Thank you guys so much for watching. I always do appreciate it. Take care and see you all in the next video. Take care and bye-bye.